Good evening, folks, and welcome back to the farm. I'm gonna have to be quick here this evening. I'm rapidly running out of daylight, and I gotta get the big tractor out of the shop over here and get a straw bale on and run it out to the bulls. Got all this crazy snow, and so burning through some straw, just trying to keep them bedded down so they don't freeze their jewelry off and end up losing the one thing you keep them around for. I did make a video yesterday, but I never released it because it was kind of a garbage video. But what I was talking about, oh, I just stepped on a cat. What I was talking about was having critical spares around the farm. It was probably like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. And I went out in behind the shop here to check on how much water the sheep had. And I noticed that the water was froze. Now they have a floating water heater in there. How does it come to be that the water was froze? Well, yeah, my own fault. My own stupid fault is that when it was minus 40, the one day I ran them out of water, and it kind of smelled like there was an electrical fire back there. Well, that was actually the heater burning out. I'm just taking the tire chains off this tractor. I found an old set of dual tire chains. I got another one right here, and I was just kind of sizing it up here last night. But until I get them properly sized, I can't get the tractor out. So I'm just taking it off. But yeah, so I burnt up the water heater. And so that's what yesterday's video was intended to be about, was critical spares. You know, one thing when you break down on the farm, it's not feasible to have a spare everything floating around, but it is necessary to have some spare somethings around. And when you think about what that is, you got to be like, okay, well, if this thing goes down, are we at a complete standstill? If we are at a complete standstill, well, then it may be beneficial to keep a few parts for that thing or a complete replacement for that thing floating around the farm. And so fortunately I had another floating stock water heater sitting there exactly the same. I could just pull it out of the box and put it back in there. Boom, today they got water, everything's fine. And that's the thing, like I got, 17 sheep in behind the shop, and then they go through a significant amount of water. And so if it's all froze up and I can't, it just becomes a thing that I have to manage. It makes everything more labor intensive, not very efficient. So I'm glad I solved that problem. But now, you know what? I don't have a spare. So am I gonna run out right now and go buy a spare? No, but I am gonna keep a very close eye on the sale catalogs for the UFA, the PV Mart, place like that stock that item. And when one comes up on sale, I will be sure to grab it. Now I shouldn't say I don't have a spare. I do have one here, right here, but this is like emergency only kind of thing. Because what we found with this particular model is it would boil water in a lake, this thing. I don't know why it's so high powered, but we did have one the last year. It actually boiled 40 gallons of water out of the trough and then melted the bottom of the trough. So that's not very good. These things are supposed to be thermostatically controlled, but I think that's meant for like a 300 or 400 gallon trough, not for a 40 gallon trough. Anyways, the last good video I did put out was the day before yesterday. I was talking about waste in the food industry, specifically meat, and how, as producers, we pour our heart and soul into raising some good meat. If you haven't watched that video, I highly recommend that you do. We'll leave the link to it down in the description for this channel, or you can go on our Facebook page and find it there, or alternately in the video section of our YouTube channel. And yeah, watch the video. Let us know what you think. Let me know if I missed the mark or if I nailed it. I'd be interested to hear, either way, I'd be interested to hear your perspective on what you think is contributing to waste in the food industry. I also wanted to say a big thank you to everybody that tuned into our recent live session that we did. Myself and Robin from Bloom Family Farm got together, sat down over here, had a few drinks, solved the world's problems, talked about passive income on the farm. So we were talking about today about doing another one of those. So, shortly here in a week or two or something like that, we can put our heads together, get some spare time, That's hard to come by these days, but if we get some spare time, we're gonna sit down, plan another live session, so you'll have that to look forward to as well. If you haven't already seen our 2-hour special on passive income on the farm, I will also leave a link to that in the description below too. Well, unfortunately, try as I might, I had the tractor out of the shop, tried to grab a straw bale, haul it out to the field, and the snow is too deep in our yard, and the front wheel assist is not working on the tractor, and all that weight on the front end takes all your any advantage you have away from you. So it looks like I'm gonna wheel it back in here and spend some time trying to get these tire chains configured. I only need, because I'm gonna put the diff lock in, right? So I only need one tire really chained up, I think. I'll give it a shot here and see what I can do. So essentially what I'm doing with these tire chains, I'm taking a set of duals, and the middle rail is gonna ride right up on top of here. And then these are gonna hang out over the edge. Now, because it's not long enough, and it really, when I dug these out of the tall grass, I was thinking I was going to put them on the old yellow Massey. I wasn't thinking it was even going to be for this tractor, but nevertheless, either tractor I use, I don't have enough tire chain to go all the way around. So what I got to do is take some bolt cutters to that set right there and trim off enough to go from edge to edge. And you can see I've got a tarp strap on here. Reason I put that on, because it is such a large wheel, I got to roll this thing forward to a point where this is sticking out the backside, but now this is going to be way up here and may want to fall off. So I got that tarp strap there. I got a second tarp strap I'm going to hook on the inside and come through the back to this chain here, so that as I roll the tractor forward, this whole chain doesn't just roll right off and pile up on me. Okay, so I got pulled forward, and as you can see, I just got my tail sticking out there, and the end of the chain is pretty much just over from top dead center. So if I would have rolled forward another 6 to 8 inches, I'd have an awful lot of forward weight on that chain. It's going to want to pull, and then I get up with a big slack loop right there that I'd really struggle to get tightened out of the chain. So I'm going to go ahead, get that rack unlooped, and then get it hooked onto here. Get pulling this way, figure out how much I need, get the old bolt cutters out. Hopefully don't step on the cat again. And we'll try and get this tractor out in the yard. All right, so I got the tire chain. I mean, it's on. It's not even, it's not tight, but it's on. And I've got about, 4.5 feet of extra here that I've got to go ahead and remove. Now I got a set of bolt cutters, and I can do some pretty magical things with bolt cutters. What I can't do is spread one of these. And I mean, I don't really want to cut it, because I mean, there may come a time when I need this. I may need this for a future fix or repair, something like that. So what I'm going to do, I got this 2-foot pin bar, and I'm just going to go ahead and pound it in behind this link and force that out and get this link off. And then down here, I'll make a cut on the actual chain, and then I'll just haywire my loose ends up, and then I'll start working to actually go around and tighten the chain as we go. All right, so the challenge I'm gonna have here, because this is actually a dual set of chains, and I needed a dual set of chains to get enough room for overlapping on both. It's such a wide tire, right? If I had a really wide steering chain off a big rig, maybe this would work, but for what I'm using and for what I have available to me, the challenge is this dual center chain here. I've got this put together with a split link. I got to tighten that up yet. But then the outer length is exactly the same length, but it comes over. And so I've somehow got to cam this tight, and these cams here aren't going to pull that as tight as it needs to be. I'm still going to end up with lots of slack down in the bottom here. So what's the solution to that? Well, you can probably see what I've done with the ratchet strap here. So a lifetime ago, a Mexican guy showed me a trick that he learned in Vietnam. And so with these open style rims like that, you can loop a ratchet strap through, hook the chain, come back, weave your strap through an open link, pull it tight, weave it through another link, go back, and then basically just zigzag all the way around your rim. And as you'll see when you come around back, completely clears the axle, right? There's no parts that can get hung up or anything. It's just literally going around the rim back to the chain. So none of this strap is going to make ground contact or anything like that. but it allows you to, I mean, you see I've done half the rim right there with one ratchet strap. So I'm gonna put a second one on right over here, get this baby snugged up, and hopefully be able to get some bales out in the morning. Okay, so I got my tire chain on. My ratchet straps are both tight. Everything's seems to be in tension. One important tip, I don't know where I did it. I think, oh yeah, right down here somewhere. Anyways, wherever you got a loose chain end where you hook the two chains together, it's somewhere in here. I did that good of a job, I can't tell where I did it. Oh yeah, right here. Right there. You got a loose chain end. Always make sure you haywire it up so that it can't come off. The reason you want to do that is because if it does come off, this fender's coming off too, and they're not cheap. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll this thing out, and I'm going to go try and pick up a bale and see if I can get that thing moved around the yard. I'm not going to take the bale out to the cows tonight just because it is already dark, but I'm going to get out there, make sure this works, and one of three things is going to happen, right? I'm either going to get out there and I'm going to have no more traction than I had an hour ago, or I'm going to have all the traction in the world and this is going to work fantastic. Or the third option is I'm going to get out there, spin my tires, shoot these chains off, rip half the fender off, and be stuck out in a snowbank and teaching the neighbors how to speak French. Probably be tough to do any kind of filming in the tractor, but I'm moving around the yard in the plowed area and about to head into the abyss. You should see how this goes. Hopefully I don't get buried. The challenge I have with this snow, we got so much of it, but it's like a really powdery, almost granular type snow. It's like trying to drive around in a sand dune, and it's like you can't really get into it. Like you get in, and then it stacks up behind you, and then you try to go backwards, and then it stacks up in front of you, and it's like you got nowhere to go. So I'm up to the bale here now. Just get a bite on it. Get her lifted in the air. Okay, I got all the weight here. Moment of truth, let's back up. The key is not to spin the tires, I guess. Oh, I'm spinning a little bit. We are moving though. We are backing up. It's definitely a marked improvement from where it was. If I can get into my old skidoo tracks here where I've kind of got it packed down. Yeah, there we go. Boom. Oh man, we are in business. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this thing out, set it by the pig pen. I'll come back tomorrow morning. I just don't want to get out in the field and, you know, throw a chain or something like that. I'm out there in the dark, a long way from the shop, and have to fight and fart around with this thing. If I can prove I can get around the yard, that's good enough for me for now. I'll take it back to the shop, double check the tension on all the chains, put her to bed for the night, and come back and try again in the morning. All right, well, I made it back in the shop. It's not pretty, but I didn't get stuck. I had to do some chewing, and it did exactly what I expected it to do. Blew a tarp strap off. I lost the tarp strap, I'm sure, 50 feet out the door. But they're still attached. So's the fender. I'm going to call that a small win for today. We'll come back tomorrow. Hopefully I can get a bale out in the deep snow in that field. But for now, I think it's time to go for a cup of tea. So I'll let you go. I hope you have a fantastic evening, and we'll see you tomorrow.